Okay.
Just in case,
What?
just in case she sees it.
Anyway, no, it's all good. It's all good. Everything is in good spirit.
Nobody's more helpful than my wife. She's the best in the car.
Is that right?
She knows exactly how to go and where to go.
I'll share that with her later. That's great. Oh no, it really was good. It was good exercise and it felt great. Especially when Thursday from pouring rain, it turned to dropping temperatures and wind blowing as we're walking on the sidewalk with boxes. And then Sunday was just a Saturday night was like outrageously cold. Just really fun stuff. Okay, that was it.
You're in?
I'm sorry? No, we're in the new place. Sunday, the movers came. They carried the big things that I really like, refrigerator and stuff like that. I wasn't going to carry that. Yeah, so we're in and we still have stuff in the old place. So, yeah. Next up is, I'm sorry? Thank you. Oh, for those of you wondering why I wanted the chainsaw, no, I did not get into a fight with my neighbor. Okay, I'm sure there was a lot of that talk. No, God forbid. Rather, I needed to.
Whatever you do at home is okay.
Whatever you want. No, I needed the chainsaw because. I'll lend you the chainsaw later, Mikey. No, I needed it because we have to cut up a sofa because it's too big for the garbage men to take. So we were told that if we cut it in a few pieces, they will take it. So that's a chainsaw. Okay, this sounds very non-rabbinical. Let's continue. We are Daf Sadi Zayin Amud Aleph, and here we go. Okay, Daf Sadi Zayin Amud Aleph. Rabbi Zera, he had Rabbi Zera, he had Mishkach Rabbanan Demaskeh. So people like talking about the Mashiach. They have like having classes on the Mashiach. It's like the most fascinating topic. Everybody's into trying to calculate the year the Mashiach will come. Fair enough. Rabbi Zera, when he would see the Chachamim talking about Mashiach in the Bet Midrash, so Rabbi Zera was one of the great Chachamim, and he saw them talking about the Mashiach, and he would say as follows. He says, Amalehu.
Where are you exactly?
Daf Sadi Zayin Amud Aleph, 97a-4. On the bottom, you see where you have like the gray bar on the side, on the left side? About halfway down, you see Kihad Rabbi Zera. 97a-4, right? Is that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So he saw the Chachamim, they were discussing the Mashiach, and he says, please, I'm asking you, I'm asking you a favor, I'm asking you to do me the following thing. La terhakuha. Please stop making the Mashiach get delayed. So what are you talking about? How are we making the Mashiach get delayed? So they were studying about the Mashiach, and he says, stop making the Mashiach get delayed. Detanena, because we have the following baraita that says, Shelosha ba'in beheseah hadat. There are three things that come when you're not thinking, when you least expected, when you're not thinking about it, when you're just doing, you're minding your own business, so to speak.
Scorpion bite, Mashiach.
Oh, very nice. So Mashiach, you were right. Mashiach is one of them. The Mashiach comes when you're not, stop talking about Mashiach all the time. He'll come, you won't expect it, it's going to happen. Rabbi Zera is quoting this baraita. Messiah. The other thing is, if somebody lost something. So when you lose something and you're trying to figure out where did I put it, I can't find it. Where did I put it? And like you're racking your brain, and I don't know. You're looking under the pillow, you're looking at all these places that there's no way you ever put it there, right? When you lose something, you're like, why are you looking in that place? You never would ever put it there, but that's human nature. So stop looking. Just calm it down. Take a few steps back. Don't think about it. It'll show up. That's called Heseach Hadat.
So that's the box that you put in the living room.
That's a box that you put in there, and that was supposed to put in the dining room, put in the living room, exactly. And finally, the akrab. If a person gets stung by a scorpion, it's Heseach Hadat. You weren't paying attention. Meaning, there are some things, don't rack your brain too much, because if you rack your brain, when is Mashiach coming? He's coming this year, he's coming next year, he's coming that year, he's coming this Nisan. We hoard it all, right? Like we always hear these things, right, from right and left and up and down. Oh, the Mashiach is coming. Okay. Stop that, because you're just going to ruin it, right? So, Heseach Hadat, Messiah. Okay, stop thinking too much, it'll show up. But Akrab means that's a case where you should be careful where you're walking. You should be careful where your foot is stepping. If you're stepping on the ground and you're not looking where you are stepping, God forbid, in that case, Heseach Hadat is a bad thing, right? So there are some things in life where you got to think carefully and be very cautious. and there are other things in life, such as Mashiach, which is beyond your control. And just whenever it happens, say thank you to Hashem, pray to Hashem that it happens, and then go on with the rest of the day and think about other things. Stop thinking about Mashiach every 2 seconds. I remember when the Twin Towers fell, I had a relative of mine who lived in Muncie, and everybody was saying, the Mashiach is coming, that's it, oh my gosh, the Mashiach is coming. I mean, it was an incredible, it was incredibly tragic, and it was also like stunning what happened. When I say stunning, well, the word stunning means beautiful. I mean, we were all stunned by what happened. That's what I meant to say by stunning. It was shocking. That's a better word, perhaps. But also there was this apocalyptic feeling. America started going to war in Iraq. So I had a relative of mine who lived in Muncie at the time, and he said like all his friends, they sold their houses and they're about to move to Israel because the Mashiach is coming and they want to be in Israel for the Mashiach. I'm nothing against people selling their houses and moving to Israel. Just do it in an intelligent fashion. Like just think a little, like plan it, figure it out. And to move to Israel and say, oh, the Mashiach is coming right now, and the Twin Towers just fell, so the Mashiach is coming. Well, I guess they were wrong, And again, I'm not saying it's God forbid in a mocking way, but that's the idea of the Gemara. Stop trying to figure out when the Mashiach is going to come. He'll come. You'll find out about it, and just thinking about it too much is an unhealthy endeavor. So there's that. So that's the opinion of the Bizera. But as you can tell from the previous sugyot that we were studying over the last, month or two, a lot of Hachamim disagreed with them because a lot of them were talking about the Mashiach, human nature, Jewish human nature. As we talk about the Mashiach, we want to know when we will be redeemed by Hashem. By the way, in the days of Egypt, people were expecting the Mashiach. So because people were expecting the Mashiach, because they knew that God will redeem the Jewish people from Egypt. So back then they were also expecting the Mashiach. So it was Moses. Moses was under their noses. They ridiculed him. He ran away from Egypt because he was going to be sent to jail for killing or maybe executed for killing an Egyptian. So the Jews ratted him out, and he had to run away to Midian, to Saudi Arabia. And he was the Mashiach. They kicked him out. Bottom line is that people, they did a calculation. When is the Mashiach coming? When is Kesach Geula? When is the Geula finally going to arrive? And they made a mistake, and because of that mistake, there was a tragedy which we studied about in this Gemara. When Shevet Ephraim, they decided to leave Egypt early, just like the people kind of selling their. I'm just bringing it as an example. Not that was as tragic, but like people selling. Oh, the Twin Towers fell. I'm going to sell my house, go to Israel. That's it. Okay, there's some difficulties in life. The difficulties in life are not going to go away just because you sold your house to move to Israel. And the Twin Towers fell. So Shevet Ephraim, they said, that's it, the Mashiach is coming. 400 years. They counted 400 years. They said, okay, we're going to leave now. The Pasuk says we're going to be slaves for 400 years, and then we're going to leave. We're leaving. It's 400 years. That's it. Go to Israel. So they decided to go to Israel. They all got killed in the desert, right?
So how do you explain Lubavitch? I mean, they do amazing things.
They're great. I love them.
But they call the rabbi Mashiach, no?
I want to be fair to them because there are some Chabadnikim who considered him to be the Mashiach. True. And there are others who disagree. So first of all, let's just put that on the table. There are many Chabadnikim that realize that he was a great rabbi, as I do.
What was the rabbi's name again?
Rabbi Schneerson. Right. As I also recognize that he was a great rabbi. And I think he did unbelievable leadership, incredible feats. Really.
They just had a meeting now.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Well, what type, where?
They all get together.
Right. Picture. But you know what? Here's what I think. I think that I can appreciate all the good things that they do, and I can disagree with them, and I can still love them, and I can still really, really feel like.
How do we explain that according to this, though?
All right, so you have to ask them. I don't know what they would tell you. They say, okay, the Bizera, they disagreed with him. Maybe that's what they'll say. But listen, he wasn't the Mashiach. I love Harambam. I think Harambam was a great, one of the greatest Hachamim ever, but he wasn't the Mashiach. So I can love Rabbi Schneerson and say, I love him beyond this, but he wasn't the Mashiach, right? I think that's a mistake they made. Meaning, it's okay not to be the Mashiach.
Right.
It's okay. We still love you. There were many great rabbis. I got Smicha from Mordechai Eliyahu. Great rabbi. I love him. Really. He was, by the way, he was like just holiness, like kedusha, scary. I saw things with Mordechai Eliyahu, and I once There was once, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I thought I was crazy, but then I'll continue the story. So this is like years ago, like he was giving some derasha, and it was very intense. Somebody died during the Intifada, and he was eulogizing him. It was like just crazy intense. And it's like I remember, like I was there, and it literally looked like there was like lightning coming out of his head. It was the craziest thing. And okay, so I thought I was crazy. I didn't really talk about it too much because I didn't want people to think that I was nuts up. But then, like about 10 years later, I was giving a class, and I was with some talmidim, whatever. And I said, oh yeah, I got some Michai Eliyahu. And I said, oh, I once saw him in the derasha, and people are saying that when they see him, they see lightning coming out of his head. I'm like, really? Like, is that what people are saying? Because I saw that myself, and I just didn't want to talk about it because it sounded so crazy. So I love Haram Eliyahu. He wasn't the Mashiach, and it's okay. And by the way, there's some piskei halacha that I respectfully follow Haram Yosef, and not Haram Eliyahu. It's okay, right? I mean, it's like, so the point is, we can disagree with the Chabadnikim on the question of Mashiach, and still love them immensely. They're such good Jews, and they're such good role models for all of us. Okay. This is a crazy Gemara. I'm going to read it now, and I want to explain it to you. And I want you to understand that the numbers in the Gemara are not always literal numbers. Remember, we were studying about the 7 years before the Mashiach, and I was saying it's 7 stages of Geula. So you have to think of the 1,000 years here in the same way. So here's what the Gemara says. Amarav Katina. You ready? Okay, this is crazy. Shit alfei shanei ha'u alma. The world will last for 6,000 years. V'had haruv. And then for 1,000 years, it's going to be destroyed. Meaning there's going to be a point where the universe, so to speak, or the world, planet Earth, let's say planet Earth exists, human civilization exists, and it's going to be 6 different stages. Each stage symbolized by 1,000 years. And again, I don't take the 1,000 years here literally. The same way that I don't take the days of creation, Yom Echad, Yom Sheni, Yom Shalishi, like, Yom Echad was the light, Yom Sheni was the rakia, Yom Shalishi was the plant, right? I don't take those days literally, but I take it as stages. Here also, there's going to be 6,000 years, meaning 6 stages in the development of man, and then there's going to be the complete destruction. And I'm going to explain that in a moment. But how do we know this? So the pasuk in Yeshaya, it says as follows. So it's okay, let me read, because the Gemara just gives you the last part of the pasuk, but to understand the derasha, you have to hear the first part of the pasuk. So the pasuk says, Einei gavhut Adam shafel, the arrogance of man, the arrogant eyes of man. This is literally the pasuk in Isaiah. The arrogant eyes of man will be downtrodden, meaning God will bring them down. Because when a person's arrogant, he's like walking around, God is going to bring down the arrogant. V'shachrum anashim, and all the haughty people who they have power and they look down at others, God is going to smash them down. V'shachrum anashim, and what's going to happen? V'niskav Adonai levado b'yom. On that day, God will be alone. God will be alone. So where is everyone? Because the world will be destroyed. Now, when you hear this, like, I guess, maybe reading this 100 years ago, like, what's the Gemara talking about? But the sun. What is the sun? So the sun is, it's a star. What is it made of? It's made out of hydrogen. And what's happening to the hydrogen in the sun? It's burning. Fusion reaction. The hydrogen atoms collide, they fuse, and they form helium, and in the process, release an unbelievable amount of energy. Each time a fusion explosion. There's the atom bomb that was released on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That atom bomb was a fission bomb. It was caused by the splitting of uranium. So you split uranium by bombarding it with extra neutrons, and then or hydrogen atoms, I'm not sure. But what happens is that the uranium atom becomes unstable, and then it splits, and that creates a hydrogen bomb. Not the hydrogen bomb, my mistake. The atom bomb. How do you make a hydrogen bomb? So a hydrogen bomb, and by the way, if I knew the answer, I wouldn't be able to say it. It would be a violation of US federal law. They don't want anybody to know how exactly the hydrogen bomb is made.
I thought it starts with a chainsaw.
A wise guy. So, but I can tell you roughly what happens in a hydrogen bomb is what's happening in the sun. So in the sun, the hydrogen atoms are fusing, creating helium and releasing even a greater explosion. The hydrogen bomb is far more powerful than the atom bomb, right? So the hydrogen bomb, and how do they get the hydrogen bomb to the hydrogen atoms to fuse? They actually have a chamber in the hydrogen bomb. Man, I hope I'm not getting in trouble for saying this. You know, I'm okay. I'm not going to say it. Okay, so let's go on. I know it's actually, if anybody was to draw the actual design of the hydrogen bomb, they could be arrested. So I'm just going to leave it at that. The point is that the sun is one giant, colossal hydrogen bomb. Now what's happening in the sun is hydrogen is constantly turning into helium. So let me ask you a question. How old is the sun? It's about 4 billion years old. About. Okay, give or take 100 million years here or there. Okay, how many more years does the sun have? About. I'm just saying about. And again, this is like very rough things to my memory of astronomy. Let's say another 4 to 5 billion years. About. Okay? In fact, oh yeah, I don't have internet now. Okay, so let's say, why? Why does the sun have a limited life cycle? Because it's going to run out of hydrogen. Okay, so what happens when the sun runs out of hydrogen? What do you think happens?
Supernova.
Well, not exactly. A supernova happens when a much larger star runs out of hydrogen. But you're right. Brother. You're definitely on the right track. It's not going to be a supernova, but it's going to turn into, it'll expand. And do you know where the sun will expand to?
Earth.
To Earth. Literally, meaning it's going to expand 93 million miles. Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun, for those of you not paying attention. And Earth will no longer exist.
Does this conflict with the concept that we have with Noah, that Hashem made a breed that he'll never destroy the world again?
Well, yeah, what did he say? He says Mabul.
So
Right?
Destroy the world another, like,
Yeah, he said, I'm not going to bring a Mabul on the world, right?
the lawyer, right? Real lawyer. So technically the term was flooding.
Right.
That's from groundwater. Rainwater might be different. Really? That's the...
Well, let's see. Okay, now first of all, for those of you panicking about the sun turning into a red giant and consuming the earth, the only thing I can say is that, 4 billion years is a very long time. So, worry about other things. But it says... And by then, okay. So wait, okay, what does it say? So he shows a rainbow, okay, and he says, Od kol yemei haaretz, the days of the earth will be stable, there'll be fall, there'll be summer, there'll be winter, spring, etc. And where does he say, right? Lo osif, right? He says, Lo osif le'akot et kolchai kasher asiti. Right? Kasher asiti, like I did with the mabul. He doesn't say with other methods. So that's going to be the had hariv. So what's going to happen? Now he says it's only going to be destroyed for 1,000 years, meaning it's going to be destroyed, but then somehow God will regenerate the world, and that's why the Yahayenu miyomayim, the pasuk continues and says, God will bring us back to life as it was in the past. I'm sorry. Okay, Abaye Amar. So Abaye says, I skipped part of the Gemara. So Abaye says, wait. Abaye gives a slightly different timeline. It says, it's not going to be destroyed for 1,000 years. It's going to be destroyed for 2,000 years.
Where are they getting this from?
So the pasuk here, if you look at the pasuk, after 2 days, God will bring us back to life. So Abaye, meaning Abaye is explaining.
Why is he saying 2
No,
days?
so because again, whenever you have these numbers like these 2 days or 2 weeks or all these numbers are talking about periods of time. So the same way when it says that the first day of Beri'ah, creation was one day, it's not 24 hours.
Which
It could have been a
Mashiach are we
period.
talking about?
We're not talking about Mashiach.
No, I'm saying here in general.
They're talking about the world, that the world itself will get destroyed. And I said,
So that means that Mashiach has to come before that.
I mean, we're not talking about Mashiach at this point. We're gonna bring Mashiach soon. We're gonna bring Mashiach soon. But the world, the destruction of the world, is inevitable. Meaning the world has a limited lifespan. But even so, and that's what it says, Yahayenu miyomayin. So the machlok between Abaye and Nafkatina is, when will we come back to life? Meaning, when will the world come back to the way it was? So according to Nafkatina, the world will be destroyed for 1,000 years, whatever that 1,000 years means, and then God will bring back the world. According to Abaye, the world will be destroyed for 2,000 years, and then God will bring back the world. Because the pasuk says, Yahayenu miyomayin, He'll bring us back to life after 2 days. And on the third day, God will bring life back to the world and bring us back to life, and we will be in His presence. So a very interesting approach of the Gemara. And again, as I said, this is all in line with science, right? That's the incredible thing. I used to, as a child, I read this, I'm like, wow, this is kind of weird. But now that I'm older and I read this, I said, wow, this is very interesting and very compelling. All right, let's continue.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
When it says that, when you said that Hashem will be alone, could that possibly mean that that's when the rest of the world will know that He's the one true and only God, as opposed to, all the other stuff that we were
Yes,
talking about?
yes. The derasha that you're giving does not exclude the peshat. So I agree with you. The peshat of the pasuk is what you said, that there will come a day where all humanity will be aware that there is only one God in the world, and therefore all the idols and all the false gods and all the false religions, they will go away, and then people will experience the fact that there is only one God. I absolutely agree with that. That's a peshat, and the derasha doesn't exclude the peshat. The derasha is an additional interpretation on the peshat, which suggests that there will become a day where God will be alone, but it's a derasha, right? I agree. Yeah. All right. The Omer, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Right, we say Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, we say it every Friday night and Saturday morning. So what does it mean, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat? Yom Shekulo Shabbat. There will come a day where there will be no more activity. Meaning that when God regenerates the world after the destruction of the world, the new world will be an eternal Shabbat. He's not going to regenerate the world and bring us back to the way we were today, or the way we are today, rather. But He will bring back the world in a state of peace and paradise. So that's going to be Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Leyom Shekulo Shabbat. It will be a state of existence where we would be, so to speak, like a different type of race of humanity, right? Today humanity has evil inclination, and we're very messed up psychologically, and therefore there's wars and all these things. So he says, no, in the days after the destruction of the universe, after the sun goes, you said supernova, fair enough, red giant, okay, after the sun goes red giant, then there will be a new state, 1,000 years or 2,000 years, and then there will be a new form of humanity, which will be different than the form of humanity that we know today. And the pasuk says, 1,000 years in your eyes, God, is like a fleeting day, meaning you can't take these dates seriously and literally, right? You ask me, how can it be one day, how can it be 1,000 years? And it's saying, no, these are not literal years, these are not literal days. We don't know exactly how much time it's going to take, but we know it's going to be different stages in the. I'm sorry?
It could be light years.
Yes. Okay. Tana Eliyahu. There's a similar a lesson taught in the Bet Midrash of Eliyahu Hanavi. Sheshet alafim shana ave alma. He says the same exact thing, that 6,000 years, meaning 6 stages in the development of humanity, 6,000 years, symbolized by 6,000 years of Alma, the world will exist. Shene alafim tohu. Now this goes to what you said, Marcus, before. 2,000 years, there will be complete, utter chaos. Tohu. Shene alafim Torah. So 2,000, so it's going to be, we're going to start with 2,000 years of chaos. So 2,000 years of chaos, that's, wars and famine and pestilence. Man, just watch a show about the Middle Ages. That was a complete tohu vabohu. If you see what was going on in the Middle Ages in Europe, wow, it was terrible. So that's 2,000 years. Shenei alafim Torah. Then for 2,000 years, people will be studying Torah. Shenei alafim Yemot HaMashiach. For 2,000 years, we will have Yemot HaMashiach. Meaning, what he's saying here, the idea of Eliyahu Hanavi in this halakha is as follows. In order to get, you can't just get Yemot HaMashiach. It's not going to be like magic. Oh, suddenly Mashiach comes, according to this opinion. According to this opinion, rather, we have to set the foundation for the Mashiach. How do we set the foundation for the Mashiach? Because for 2,000 years, we would have been studying Torah and developing the Torah in a very special way, and then we will be worthy of the Mashiach. This is something that we're going to develop later on in the Gemara. I'm not going to develop it now, but the Gemara itself was finished, let me see, it was finished in the year, let's say 300-400. So what year are we now? The year 2024, so figure 1,600 years. So right, so the point is that the development of the Torah has to reach a certain point, a certain apex, and only after the development of the Torah reaches that apex, because don't forget, the Gemara, as I said, was developed in the year 300. It was edited in the year 300. Roughly. The Mishnah was edited roughly in the year 160, 170, 180, 190. I'm probably off by 10 years here or there. Before the Mishnah, there was no Mishnayot. So before that, what did we have? We had the Sanhedrin, right? We had everything as Torah Shebe'al Peh. Before that, we had Anshe Knesset Gedolah. Before that, we did not have Kiddush. We did not have the Amidah. We did not have many of the mitzvot that we do today. That were the mitzvot that were given by Moshe Rabbeinu. We always had, obviously, but there were many mitzvot that were established by Anshe Knesset Gedolah, such as public prayer by everyone 3 times a day. So you see how that the Torah, I'm going backwards in time, where you can go forward in time, and you see there's a certain development in the Torah over the last several thousand years. So this development of the Torah is what prepares for Yemot HaMashiach. Let me give you like a little example of the development of the Torah, just so you understand what I'm talking about. So let's go back to the days of the first temple. The days of the first temple, things were pretty messed up. And part of the reason that things were messed up is as follows. In ancient civilizations, it was always the priest of the particular religion that were the custodians of the religion. And the rest of the people just followed what the priest told them to do. This is the way the ancient world was. The Jewish people, they basically followed the ways of the Goyim, and the Kohanim in the days of Beit Rishon, they were the ones who studied Torah, they were the ones who taught the Torah, but they were very corrupt, and they allowed cultic pagan worship into the Bet HaMikdash, Avodah Zarah, in the days of the first temple. Now, what led to this mistake was the fact that not everybody used to study Torah, because they used to believe that it was up to the priest to study Torah. The Nevi'im, Yeshaya, Yirmiyah, Yoel, Amo, all the Nevi'im, they said, no, that's a mistake. The Torah is not just for the Kohanim, the Torah is for all the people. Now what happened? So now there was a development. People go into exile. They go to Babel, and now everybody starts studying Torah with Yehezkel HaNavi in Babel, right? And with Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, Daniel, and with Mordechai. And people started studying Torah. So you see the development, how things developed. Then they came back to Israel, and this whole thing flourished. The idea of everybody studying Torah, public classes of Torah, became very... Now, that was one thing. Another thing, we were talking about prayers before. Before, people, okay, prayed, didn't pray, prayed once a day, didn't pray once a day. They were supposed to pray at least once a day. They didn't always pray once a day. And then Anshe Knesset Gedolah developed that. Everybody has to pray. Wait, but I'm not a Kohen. Why should I have to pray? No, you have to pray. You have to pray every single day, 3 times a day. Kiddush, Friday night. Kiddush, Friday night was Anshe Knesset Gedolah. So you see all these developments, and the Mishnah comes to that. I said the Mishnah, it basically set everything in stone, in writing. Then the Gemara explained the Mishnah, the Tosefta, the Sifra, Sikra, Bechilta, etc., etc., etc. So now we have a state of the Torah that's very advanced, and now we're ready for the Mashiach. You get that? You understand the point? So that's what Eliyahu Hanavi was saying. He's saying, again, don't take the years literally, because then you're going to rack your brains and go crazy. And
You're saying those 2,000 years on that stage, it needs
Yeah, 2,000 years of chaos. Yeah, 2,000 years of chaos. That's just about right. Yes.
But then after that, there's another 2,000 years of
Torah.
So that's so that you can get to Mashiach after that.
There you go. Exactly. And then, now that you set everything straight in the Torah, now you have the 2,000 years of Mashiach, and then the world will be, now, to your point, and then the world will be destroyed, because the sun will eventually explode, and then God will bring everything back to life. But when God brings everything back to life, it'll be in a state of power, a different form of humanity, a different, like an advanced form of humanity, where everything is Shabbat. There's no need for work, there's no need for fighting, there's no need for toil.
That's how it all started.
What?
That's how it all started.
Yeah, except that when he created Adam Arishon, God himself said, Ki yeser lev ha'adam ra min nevarav. Remember God says that about when after Cain kills Hevel, he said, listen, when I created you, I gave you this Yetzer Hara, right? So I would say that no, that this new state of man will be advanced relative to the way Adam was in Gan Eden. Even though Adam in Gan Eden was a great state,
So why go through all this if you could just do whatever he wants?
why go through what?
Why go through all this process and if he could just, he wants a perfect world, just make a perfect world.
Okay, I'll give you the answer of Maran HaKadosh, although I have a slightly different answer. But Maran has a book called Magid Mesharim. And so basically the idea of Magid Mesharim was that Maran, he used to live in Sfat. He was raised by his uncle, Rabbi Yitzhak Karo. So you have Rabbi Yosef Karo was the author of the Shulchan Aruch. He was, they were exiled from Spain. Originally they were from Spain and then they were exiled. And then eventually they reached Tzfat, they reached Israel. There was a lot of great Chachamim in those days in Tzfat. Tremendous Chachamim. Very unusual time in Jewish history. And so Rabbi Yosef Karo, of course, was one of the great Chachamim of his generation. And he used to have a Bet Midrash. And sometimes he would go up to the Bet Midrash. It's called, like the Bet Midrash was on top of the house. It's called the Yeshiva Shel Mala, right? The high yeshiva. And sometimes he would have these situations where a malach would come to him and they would discuss the Torah. Him and the malach, they would have the discussions of Torah, and he would write down the discussions, and eventually he published a book. And the name of the book is called Magid Mesharim, because the malach that came to him was called the Magid. He who spoke to me. So he wrote the book Magid Mesharim, which is discussions between himself and the malach. Okay, very nice. So one of the discussions between him and the malach is, why this whole thing? Why like go back and forth and man and not man, and just put man in Gan Eden and just please make our life simple. Like why do you have to go through this whole process? This world suffering. There's a machlok between Hillel and Shammai. Noach lo le'adam shenivra or noach lo le'adam shelo nivra. Would it have been better for man if he was created or not created? Because there's so much suffering in this world, so he says that they say no, Noach lo le'adam shelo nivra would have been better for man had he not been created. All the wajalas in this world is too much. So that was the idea of the discussion with the Magid, right? In this particular discussion that he had, and the Magid told him something like this. He said, "Nahaman de kisufa," which is Aramaic for the bread of embarrassment. What does it mean, the bread of embarrassment? So the idea is that man by his nature enjoys most what man himself produces. So there's a pasuk in Tehillim that says, "Yeria kapecha kitochel ashrecha v'tov lach." That what is the greatest enjoyment of man in this world is when you work hard and you enjoy the fruit of your own labor. That's the highest level of enjoyment, and it's true. When you work hard, doesn't matter what you're doing. You worked hard and you were successful and you made money and you're just enjoying it. It just feels great. It could also be with Torah. When you study Torah and you really toil in the Torah and you have chidushim, it's tremendous. It's a great feeling. Listen, my father used to give me a lot of chidushim in Torah. It was great. I loved it. Nothing wrong with that. But when you but it's when you toil and you think that suddenly you're wow, what a crazy idea I just came up with. Shtabach Shemo, it feels great. So that's Nahamad Kisufa. So the Malach tells Maran HaKadosh, he says, listen, we could have been in Gan Eden, we could have been enjoying ourselves, no problem, but we would not enjoy it as much. The real enjoyment is that you went through this world and you suffered and you went through everything you went through and you experienced everything you experienced, and at the end somehow you came out as a human being. You came out worthy, and now you're in Olam Haba and you earned it. You earned it. It's yours, right? That's a great feeling. I think they once did a psychological test on people. People who suffer a lot in their lives, everybody has some episodes or some issues, right? That's just part of life. And they said, would you have preferred not to have gone through those episodes? And everybody says no. Almost everybody who went through a tough episode acknowledges that, it was good for me. It brought me growth, right? It brought me growth, right? Would you want to do it again? No way. Please, no. Having gone through it, we appreciate it, right? You see the dichotomy between something we experience and now going forward. So going forward, we're happy we had those experiences because it made us what we are. So that's the answer to your question. The answer is God created this creature called man that works hard, toils and suffers, and at the end of the day appreciates everything that it got. Right? So that's man, and that's why we go through this whole thing of Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba, destroying the world, regenerating the world, the whole thing. What are we up to now? What time is it?
Quarter after.
Like a quarter after, you said?
Quarter after. Yeah.
9/11.
Okay, let's give it 4 more minutes. Just 4 more minutes, just to finish the time. I don't want to finish early. All right. Okay. 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 ובעוונותינו שלנו יסעו מהם מה שיסעו. Right? And Eliyahu Navi continues and he says, and because we have so many sins, Am Yisrael, so many sins, that so many years have passed, and so many years have passed, and so many years have passed, and the Mashiach has still not arrived. So he acknowledges the idea that we still have, in his days, when he wrote this Baraita, we still have a ways to go. Let's continue. Amar le'Eliyahu le'Rabbi Yehuda apua de'Rav Sila Chasila en olam pachot mishemone b'chamisha yovelot. Very interesting. He says that the world will last a minimum of 85 yovelot. So let me explain to you what the Jubilee year is. The Jubilee year is a 50-year cycle. So the 50-year cycle started, and you know what? Let me do the calculation.
4,250 years.
What?
4,250.
Very exactly. You're correct, and that's very good. Are you mathematically inclined? Oh, yeah. Okay, even better. You could have lied. You could have said, oh, I just figured it out. Boom.
Cheat sheet.
So what I'd like to do, I'm not going to do it now, but maybe for the next class. Interesting. We started counting the Yovelot. When Adam HaRishon was created, there was no Yovel, right? When did the Yovelot start? After the Jewish people entered left Egypt. I'm sorry, they left Egypt in the year 2448 or 2449, whatever. They entered Israel in the year 2488, and then they conquered Israel. For 14 years, they were busy conquering Israel. So can you do 88 plus 14, 98, 2502. Okay, 2502. So 2502. So they started counting the Yovelot in that year. So it'd be interesting to do like the calculation, what it means. But the point he's saying is it can be no less than 85 Yovelot. And on the last Yovel, Ben David Ba, we'll do this next week, and we'll try to figure out the numbers as well, see if it gives us anything interesting. Rabbi Hananya.